guys, we're going to go ahead and get started with everything today. Glad that you guys are here. Kirsten, which stool would you like?
No, I've never been on stage.
Stool. Which stool sample would you like? All right. You have that one. There's extra water if you need it. All right, well, let me welcome you guys out to our intentional parenting workshop. We didn't really know what to call it. All we know is that we're a couple of parents, and we've learned a few things here and there, and that as we minister to other families that have kids, we've learned some things from them. We've learned some things from people that are older than us, people that are younger than us. So never do you hit that age to where you know it all, the mecca of parenting. But we've figured out a few things as we go along, and I'll kind of tell you a little bit about what intentional parenting is and why we're doing it. But first, we'll introduce ourselves. So, who are you? Do you remember how to unmute your microphone? Do it, Kirsten.
Is it on?
Oh, see, you had to listen. You should have listened to Rob a little bit more. Is it green?
It's on, right?
Okay, there it is. There it is.
Okay, so I do not like to be up on stage. So this is a God thing for us. And Brent was very excited when this came about. We've been praying about this for
a while.
For a couple months.
We've been married for 20 years now.
Well, in June.
Oh, in June it'll be 20 years. And ever since we met, it's always been kind of neat. You know how the whole opposites attract?
Opposites.
I thought that's how it was, right? I thought, until she gets behind closed doors, she's cray-cray, I'm telling you. She won't let you see her craziness, but literally, she is like the brains behind the operation. So like Surge that we do here, or kids ministry series that we do, videos, goofy things, a lot of them are her ideas. They just get manifested through me. So it's pretty interesting that she's a smart one up there, but she hides it very, very well. So I'll talk about us just a little bit. If I hadn't had a chance to meet you one-on-one, my name is Pastor Brent, and this is my wife, Kirsten. And I have been on staff here at Westridge for about 10 years now. And before that, we attended Westridge for probably 6-7 years before I ever came on staff. So
we moved here for Westridge from Manhattan.
That's right.
We lived up in Manhattan, and we moved here for the church.
For the church. Okay, so I'll give you a little quick 411 about us and how we got to where we're at. Because I tend to get long-winded, right? So I need to not get as long-winded. So I grew up in a Christian household. Mom and dad still together. Mom and dad are still alive now. They live in Texas. We moved around about every 3 years. We would go from Cape Girardeau, Missouri to Tulsa, Oklahoma, Seattle, Spokane, Texas, all these types of things, until I went to Liberty University, which is up in Lynchburg, Virginia, and I came across this young beauty over here. And I kind of had the life planned out. You know, I wasn't supposed to meet the person I was gonna marry till I was a junior in college, but I met her my sophomore year. So it really threw off. It really threw off the game plan that I had going on. But we met, and I'll let her tell her side of the story of us meeting, but beautiful. And I remember I didn't like to read, and she loved to read, so she would sometimes read books to me that I had to read for class at the coffee house, things like that. Until let's see, we graduated in May of '99, and we got married in June. And once we got married, we didn't really know where we wanted to live. So we chose Tampa, Florida, right? That's where most people choose if you have no clue where to go. There's a beach nearby, and this guy, Eric Zier, I think he was like a quarterback for, I don't know, Buccaneers or something like that. Falcons. Where? Is that Georgia? Is that what? Okay. Anyway, he was our next door neighbor. And so we enjoyed that. That was fun. I remember watching the ball drop on TV, and I was like, wouldn't that be so cool to like live in New York? And Kirsten was like, well, let's move there. I was like, what? Glimpse of the cray-cray, right? And she is like, well, let's move there. I'm like, okay. So literally, we get U-Haul, quit jobs, move up to Manhattan, and this is like 36th Street and 7th Avenue, right? This is like Times Square's nearby, and we're right across the street from Macy's, which turned out to be a great thing, right?
To walk through Macy's on my way home from work. It was very fabulous.
Lots of new clothes here and there. So we did that for a while. Then the dot-com bust happened, like early in 2001. And somebody said, hey, there's a really cool church down in Atlanta, if you're interested in going there. So we thought, Atlanta, that's cool, no kids, let's go cruise on down to Atlanta. So we did. And that church was a church meeting in East Paulding High School, right around the corner. And we moved to a house in Hiram, Georgia. So from Manhattan to Hiram, Georgia. Which was a little bit of a culture shock, I'm going to say, right? A little bit of a...
Yes, and actually Paul and Angela Richardson, they were our neighbors in Hiram. And so...
It's like Eric Zier, but different,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But no, so
Sure.
it was fun. We've been friends with, well, and we went to college together as well. So that's how we...
That's right. So we got here, fell in love with the area, and decided, okay, this was the spot we were going to raise kids, right? Because I saw this dream my whole life of people that knew each other since they were in kindergarten, and then they had gone to school all the way until they graduated. I never knew what that was like. Kirsten never knew what that was like. She moved around about every 3 years as well. And so to us, that was just a part of it. Now our kids are kind of living the dream. But to them, it's normal, right? It is completely not odd at all. You just go to school with the same kids you've gone to school with since you were in kindergarten. So kind of a little of our background. What's kind of your background, church-wise, Christian?
So both of my parents are still married. And a year ago, they actually moved from Florida up here to this area. Very excited. We've never had family live near us, ever. And so very excited. It's just a new whole transition, getting used to having family there. So we've really enjoyed it. I went to Liberty. My sophomore year, I got there. I had done a year at an in-state school. And I remember meeting him, but he didn't remember meeting me. It's because I had short hair. I think he only likes long hair, maybe. I don't know. But I can remember he knew my roommate, and her name was Merry Christmas. And so, which I know is
Don't you remember people named Merry Christmas?
I know. It's a really cool name. But like, he would not even like talk to me. And so then the summer happened. My hair grew out. Fall happened. We came back to school, and he's like, "Oh, who are you?" I'm like, "We've met before, and you don't remember." And he couldn't remember my name, and so he would say curse word. Kirsten. And so even now to this day, he calls me curse word.
I remember being in a store one time.
And a sweet old lady stopped, and she's like, "Are you going to let him call you that?" And I'm like, "It's okay. He can't remember my name anyway." So.
No, it was curse word, because there's always Kristens and Kirstens, and she's a Kirsten. So I had to remember curse word, Kirsten. Complete opposite of you, obviously, but I had to do that.
So anyway, so then a little bit, we got married, and we moved around a little bit. We moved here to Paulding County, fell in love. We've been married 4.5 years, and our sweet baby girl, Lola Reese, was born. And we had prayed hard for her.
You prayed for hair?
I prayed for 2 things, and I prayed for a lot of
specific things.
I prayed for hair. I wanted a sweet girl with hair because I wanted hair bows in that hair. And I prayed for her to have Brent's personality. I prayed hard because he's so outgoing and he's so sure of himself. And I just wanted a girl that was sure of herself and confident and just could walk into a room and not worry about what people thought. God answered.
You got it.
God answered big. And she is just like her daddy. She's 15. She's just like Brent. She loves a crowd. She's a dancer. She loves the stage. She wants an audience of 1,000. Don't give her just 50. Like, she loves it. 3 years later, we had Jagger, and I prayed for him, hair. I wanted hair on my boy. And I don't know what it is about hair. I have no idea. But I said, God, I don't think I can handle 3 Brents. So I prayed really hard for one that was a little bit more laid back, a little bit more easygoing. And he totally answered that prayer. He's a little bit more like me. He doesn't do well with change. You can't really throw change on him real easily. He has to kind of marinate on it a little bit. But he's definitely more laid back and low-key than Brent and Lola Reese.
I remember one time in college, she lived at a house, her and all her roommates, close to where me and my guys and all of us. And I thought I would surprise her by going in and like rearranging a room and putting the bed over on this wall and the dresser. And I was like, oh, she's gonna love it. And she came in, and I think tears may have come down your eyes, right? Like, when I say doesn't like change, that is Kirsten, Dawn Elizabeth, Tina Freilich, Moxey. I've added lots of names to her, but she, that is Kirsten right there. She does not like change. And so it's neat the way that our kids often mimic us in some way. You've probably found, I'm assuming most people in here have kids. If not, kind of weird that you're in here, but that's okay. I'm glad that you are attending anyway. But for most of us, we see personality traits coming through in our kids. And so for us, we saw the same thing happening. And as Kirsten and I went through the baby phase and the preschool phase and the elementary, and then as they went through middle school, and now we've got one in high school and another one, Jagger's still in middle school. I remember sitting down with other families that were having issues or just conversations. Or people would come to us and say, hey, what did you do to fix this with your kids, or to fix that? I need something, help me, right? And oftentimes, even here at Westridge, I'll meet with families in the afternoon, and we don't necessarily, as pastors, counsel everybody, but we love sitting down with families just to hear where they're coming from and to see if there's anything we can pray for or help them out in any way. And so by doing this, Kirsten and I have had so many conversations kind of behind closed doors of just what we've learned and what God's taught us through this whole situation of being parents. And so we thought, man, I wish we could share this with some people. I wonder if this is even a need to share some of the things that we've learned. There's parenting books out there, but there is no here's how to be a parent 101, as we all know, right? You just you learn as you roll the punches, so to speak. And so Kirsten and I would be talking about certain things. Man, I wish we could share with some people this or some people that. We had specific things, actually 5 specific things. So that's where this intentional parenting idea came from. And so I don't know what you came today kind of expecting, but the idea of this is we're going to talk about one of those 5 pieces of parenting. And if you grabbed one of those sheets coming in, it talks about time. You'll see in the top of that. The idea is to bust into the other 4 at some point coming up throughout this year. We know that it is tough to plan on, do we run out of sheets? That's okay, we'll give it to you. Oh, Rob's got a couple. And it is tough to find time in your schedule. So hopefully if we sprinkle these throughout the year and we find times to come together and it's more of a conversation, that this will be beneficial for you guys as you grow, and you're going to learn things that you can teach right back to us. But if you'll take a look at this, these are the 5 kind of pillars we put of being an intentional parent. Now, the reason we gave you a blank note sheet is because we don't know what you're looking for, what you're praying for, and what God is wanting to teach you today in our short time together. But we know that when we say something, our prayer is that something sticks out at you, and you're like, that's what I came for. I sat in that room for an hour and 15 minutes, and that's really what I needed to hear. Some of you guys are going to sit through this and be like, duh, right? I mean, yeah, that's how we're supposed to be. Time, right? That's a thing. It's a thing I've heard about, so let's do that, right? But our prayer is that truly God would be lifted up and glorified through this. Now, there are other pieces, and you're going to say, I wish we had talked about this and this and this. Hopefully, through the course of us sitting down over the next year and having a few conversations about these 5 pillars, it will help answer a lot of those intentional parenting pieces. But a lot of what Kirsten and I are going to talk about today centers around time. And we've tried, believe me, so many other things in our notes that we prayed together and we've studied God's Word together and had conversations together. So many other things have come up. We're like, nope, got to push that aside. Wait until we get to that part. Oh, wait till we get to that spiritual growth. Isn't it weird for like a pastor, a kid's pastor, to say, oh, that's how they're going to grow spiritually. Nope, push that aside. Let's wait till we get to that part, because that's such an important thing. I want to give us as much time as we possibly can. So today, we're going to talk about time. And we're going to talk about, where do we find time? Where does it come from? How do we make more of it? Because we've got ways to make more time. It's really neat. And it doesn't involve a time machine or a hot tub time machine, any of those kind of things. So our family a little bit, we'll show you just kind of real quick, and then we'll move on from here. Here's a quick picture. Here's us. So there's our weird kids in the background. You know what I'm saying? Like, just kind of like, what up, homie? I don't know if they're gangsters or what they're doing back there, but sometimes we throw us little selfies. We forget, I don't know if you guys do this. You take pictures of like your kids and all that kind of, but you forget to take pictures of yourselves. You probably go back and you're like, oh, I wasn't in that one, or that one, or that one. So we're like, we got to take more selfies of Kirsten and I. And then, of course, kids find a way to get into that. This is probably, is that Waffle House? What is that?
That's Christmas Eve. Waffle
Oh,
House.
yeah, that's right. So every Christmas Eve, we find our way, after services here at Westridge and all that, we find our way to Waffle House. That's table number 16. I don't know why they need to label all their tables. There's really only like 7 of them in the entire place. But somehow,
16.
that's table 16. It's weird, doesn't make sense. Here's a piece, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. This is all of us serving at Surge. So you think, okay, Pastor Brent, you're running this camp, right? But they have to be there. No, nowhere. Jagger does not have to be there. Lola Reese doesn't have to be there. My amazing wife, Kirsten, does not have to be there. It's a choice. And so we'll talk a little bit about that, the importance of doing things like that together. And there might be another picture here. Oh, hey. Matt Young, you took that one. So Matt was walking around with, if you've ever seen our photographers here at Westridge, specifically Matt and Melissa Young, they've got lenses the size of like Montana, right? They're like these big old Mamba Jamba lenses and all that. And we're like, hey, take a picture of our family. And I remember we walked outside and Matt was like, because it's one of those modular trailers that's in the background. And Matt was like, oh, please don't show too many people. So there you go, Matt. We're only showing these people. And everyone else on
my
Facebook
favorite
and
family
Instagram
picture,
and
actually.
Google. Yeah. That's Christmas Eve service. Actually, we served together at Christmas, passed out candles. It's one of those neat little easy serving opportunities when you can have some fun and throw candles at people. It's our daughter, Lola Reese.
Lola Reese.
Here she is. She's a dancer and been dancing since she was 2. And then there's Jagger. He is a football player up here at McClure, Samuel McClure Middle School, and first year doing football. So Kirsten was scared for a little while that maybe he was going to die. And then now.
It's okay. I said no for like 3 years.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You
I'll
eventually said
admit
yes.
it. Yeah.
We are also going to, I don't know how many of you guys have kids at a public school, opposed to a private school, opposed to a home school. I know there's so many varieties now. Kirsten went to a private school. I went to a public school and I loved the experience. I thought there's so many opportunities. And she went to a private school. So you were top 10, right, in your graduating class?
I was top 10 out of 12.
Yeah, so I think that's great.
I like to tell people that, and then like my family goes, "There's only 12 in the class."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Thanks, guys."
I don't remember what. I was definitely not anywhere. I had a little over 700 in my graduating class.
And what were you placed as?
It's hard to say. It's hard to count that high or low. I don't know where I was at. Probably in the hundreds or 200s, give or take. But I remember when we first said we want to take our kids to this school that's right up near our house. It was Burnt Hickory Elementary. And Kirsten's like, I don't want my kids going to school where they have to go through metal detectors and everyone's carrying a Glock 9 or something.
I literally
And
thought
was
that
like,
in elementary school.
I'm not sure you have a clear picture of what elementary school is actually like in the public school system. So we went, and Dr. Crow was the first principal up in that area, and you sat down and you were Gucci Gang, right? You're all good. So now everyone is going there, and I'm going to throw out some youthy terms like Gucci Gang here and there because I got to be cool, right? All right. So let's dig in a little bit on a lot of the big reasons that we are all here. Intentional parenting, all right? So we're not going to get to that scripture quite yet, Rob, but it's coming. You just wait. Intentional parenting. So I took a definition of intentional out of the dictionary, and it says done on purpose, deliberate. Deliberate. Is there any better way to be a parent in the world we live in today than to be a deliberate, intentional, be on purpose for your parenting? Some of the synonyms were calculated. I thought that was neat. Or knowing. But being a calculated parent, calculating the time we have together and using it to the best of your ability. So as we're studying scripture, and we want to make sure that what we do is founded on God's word. And so I know that as Kirsten and I were looking through some of these things, you had some scripture you're going to share with everybody.
Yeah, so as we were praying about this, one of the scriptures that really stood out for us was Ephesians 5:15 through 17. And it says, "Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time, because the days are evil. Therefore do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is."
Making best use of the time. Now, when I first found that, I was like, oh, because you're searching for scripture that revolves around time, and Ephesians 5:15 through 17 nailed it. Now, for me, I use the New International Version, an NIV Bible. And when I open this, it said it a little bit differently, but I love the way that the two matched up. And verse 15 says, be very careful then how you live. But I love the way that verse 16 says, making the most of every opportunity. The reason I love that is because we are awarded opportunities with our kids every day. The key is, do you have your eyes open for those opportunities? Do you have your eyes open for the time that God is giving you. Because oftentimes, we're blown from one place to the next. You know what that's like, just like we do. From fast food restaurants to sports to whatever it is. There is no time, Brent. There's no time, Kirsten. How are we supposed to find these opportunities? And we're going to talk about that. Tell the next scripture that I think might be overused at times, but it's still very biblical. So
it's Proverbs 22:6. It says, "Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it."
mm-hmm. The NIV says, "Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they're old, they will not turn from it." Now, start children off. Do I mean if you have middle school and high school kids and you have not been intentional up to now, you're done? Absolutely not. But what it means is while they're under your roof, while you're in the phase of parenting called being a coach, while you know more than your kids, right? This is the time to take advantage of the time. This is the time to take advantage of the opportunities that are awarded to us, okay? Now, the reason I'll just throw this in there real quick. So many people say, I am going to teach my kids the Bible, take them to church, we'll pray together, and then they'll never go off and fall off the beaten path. Not true, okay? If you look into that, it says, even when they are old, they will not depart from it. The ESV version that's up on your screens, even when he or she is old, he will not depart from it. Now, even. That doesn't mean, oh, wait till they're old, then they won't depart. But what it does mean is when we ground them, not grounding them, when we are grounding them in God's word, in our time, showing the importance of time together, they're going to grow up learning that. And they're going to take that with them, right? Just like some of us, if you came from a broken home, I'm in a men's Bible study where a lot of the men in there have parents that were divorced, right? So they were constantly searching for some type of fulfillment through somebody at church, through a teacher, through mom, through a grandfather, whatever. They were searching for that fulfillment that can only be found in certain ways. And finally they realized God's the only one that can be the true father, right? He's the only one that is perfect at being a father. And so just know that when we say that, it's so important to be training, leading, spending time with them while they're under your roof, so that even when they get older, if they've gone here and they've gone there, they will find their way back to Christ, all right? As we pray for them, we can say, God, draw them back to you. So we'll get on that scripture a little more when we talk about the spiritual side of things. But Kirsten, I think you were talking a little bit about our view of time. Is that right?
So the question is, how do you view your time? We tried to look up a definition, and we really couldn't find a great definition of what time is. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of things, what do you do in a 24-hour period? What do you spend your time on? And oftentimes we say, I wish I could just have one extra hour a day. I wish I could have just an extra time to get this done, or whatever. And I think we talked about how you spend your time on truly what you enjoy. And the other day I was kind of convicted. I was in the middle of this podcast, and it was like this, I don't even know, like a mystery, kind of like...
It's called Serial, about a killer. Yeah, just throw it out there, let him know.
He was wrongly accused, and he was going back to court, and so it was really... I know, it's crazy. It was really riveting, okay? And so, like, literally, I found myself, like, had my ear pods in, I was listening to it, I was folding clothes, I was in the car, I would leave the house early for car rider line just so I could sit in the car and listen to it and I could finish it up. And so truly when we're talking about this, I was like, you really will find time to spend on things that you really enjoy, I guess.
That you're interested in.
Yeah, that you're
interested in. And even I think
it's not a bad thing, because it was a really good podcast, but you know. It was...
All those hours. It's even, I think of myself, you know, back in the day, my dad went off to work, right? And my mom stayed home to take care of the kids and the dinner. And times are different now, right? I mean, we're all going in different directions. But I think a lot of times it's easy to give the time to the thing that's bringing in the paycheck, right? It's easy to give the time to the thing that is keeping food on the table and a roof over the house. And I remember hearing a message years ago, before I ever was on staff at the church. And Brian Bloy and I were having lunch, and he talked about one of these messages that Andy Stanley did called Choosing to Cheat, if you've heard of that one before. Write that down if not, because he says, in life, with your family or with work, you're going to cheat something, okay? You need to choose now which one you're going to cheat. You're either going to cheat your family out of the time with you, or you're going to cheat work out of the time. Now, I know sometimes there's hourly things, there's getting projects done, and there's seasons, ebb and flow, but when the idea is, man, I've got to get to the ball game, the recital, home, the TV show we all watch together, whatever that is, we got to realize that it's so easy to err on the side of where the paycheck's coming from, because that's very important to my family. I'm the provider, I'm the dad, I'm the mom, whatever that is, I'm providing for the family. But when we realize it's going to get done, and the projects are going to go, we can wake up a little earlier, whatever that looks like, we need to realize right now who we're going to cheat and what means the most besides our relationship with Christ. That would be our family. And so we've got to choose to cheat the thing that matters the least in the long run, okay? In the eternal picture of things. So if I can't create time, how, Kirsten, can I get more of it?
You can't, Brent.
Literally, you cannot create more time. Is that right? I mean, it's like we all are given 24 hours in a day, okay? So we're starting to dive into the meat and potatoes of why we're here, right? And I even wrote some numbers down. Should I share the numbers I was talking to you about?
Everyone likes a good number, Brent.
Okay, are you sure?
I don't know.
Well, let me throw it in here. All right, so what I wrote down here is the phrase, time is everywhere. You just have to know where to look for it. For instance, I think sometimes 10 minutes while you're waiting for somebody to get ready, or 10 minutes before you're leaving for church, or 10 minutes after you get home and you just want to sit on the couch for a second, 10 minutes. Let's just say there were 4 times in that day when you just had 10 minutes. It was you and your son, you and your daughter, you and your wife, you and the whole family, whatever it was. Let's just say we found this magical 10 minutes here and there. Just 4 times throughout the entire day, okay? We take those 4 times throughout the day. That equals to 40 minutes per day, right? And then I wrote down times every day in that week. That's 7. 7 days, that's 4.6 hours per week we just found using the little 10 minutes. That's 19 hours per month, or 224 hours per year. AKA, that is 9 extra full 24 hours a day if we were to just take the 10 minutes that we need while we're on the phone. 10 minutes that we need to just finish watching, or to finish listening, or to finish folding, or whatever that looks like, right? If we just found that 10 minutes and added them up throughout that day, and we were intentional with the way we used the 10 minutes here and there, we would find ourselves with a greater amount of time that came out of thin air. It came out of nowhere. It came out of going and grabbing carrots from the refrigerator and eating something because you're waiting on everybody and you're kind of counting the clock, but you realize, I got to use this 10 minutes right now to be very intentional. So
I think a lot of times too, we kind of think, well, what can I do in 10 minutes? Like, that's not even enough to carry on a long conversation about a deep, conversation about something. But truly, if you stop and think, 10 minutes to a 7-year-old, that's quite a long time. Because you're going to get probably all of what they've done in the entire 6 hours at school in a 10-minute, maybe if you're lucky, in a 10-minute time frame. And so I think if we kind of change the way that we view time, and we change the way that we view how to get those personal times with our kids, if we kind of change it and think a little bit differently as a parent and think, okay, like for example, our daughter dances, and we live in Bentwater, and she dances at Seeking Dance Works. 6 minutes, tops, there and back, okay, or there, 6 minutes back. A couple of nights a week, she gets done like 9:45, 9:15 at night, and so it's late. And so Brent, he's so sweet, he's like, I'll go get her. I'm like, that is my time with Lola Reese. That is my time, and that's my time.
I thought that was the strangest answer.
He didn't catch on for a long time. He's like, I can go get her. And I'm like, but it's my time. The second she gets out of the studio, that's when she wants to talk. Because when she gets home, it's like, let's go to bed. Because now it's 10:30, like we gotta hurry up and go to bed. And so I think if you kind of maybe change the way that you view time and change the way that you view on how you're going to make that emotional connection, there is a lot of time. Our son plays Fortnite a lot. And so
They probably don't know what that is.
yeah,
they're
you are
Christian
good parents
homes.
and you don't allow Fortnite in your house.
Yeah.
No, but like he'll ask me, hey, do you want to come watch me play? I'm like, not really. But I don't say that. I'll go up there to the playroom and I might be folding clothes. I'm using my time wisely. I might be folding clothes, but I'm going to go up there because he will share with me every single play and thing that he built
Skin
that he wants to get. I mean, like, whatever. I don't care about Fortnite, but I care about Fortnite because he cares about Fortnite, if that makes sense. And so I think if we kind of maybe change the way that we think about time, if you go through your day, you know, whether or not you drive your kids to school, I don't know, what's your favorite song? You know, our kids are a little bit older, so they're a little bit more into music, and so they do have, you know, I'll play my favorite song and we talk about it, you know, who sings this, and I don't know.
Yeah, and some of the things, I think Kirsten brings up the car as being one of those things, because I know we're all taxi drivers, right? I get that. We taxi everywhere, right? One of the things I've learned from this one over here is when she asks, I won't get into this too much, but when she wants to take kids places. She wants to be in the car, hearing what's going on with our daughter and our son's friends, getting to know them, developing little jokes and fun conversations with them. And we started learning that the drive from our house to school is about 10 minutes. There's another 10 minutes right there. You do that 5 days out of the week here and there, and you just gained almost an hour just driving them to school, let alone if you pick them up and come home. So I think those times in the car is not the time, every time you pop in the phone, well, now you can't do that anymore, right? But speakerphone or Bluetooth or whatever it is. I was gonna share something about, I had a friend at my guy's Bible study. And every time I would take Jagger to football practice, I knew the drive now would not have a lot of traffic, but we were in there for about 6 minutes. So that was the time when I would engage Jagger in some questions about what's going on in some specific things. And he would talk back to me. Well, I shared this in my men's Bible study, had no clue that there was another dad there, and he had not even thought about that. The drive from home to football is when he made a few more phone calls, business related. He got a few more things done because, you know, I'm going to hang out at your football practice, so I gotta be on the phone for a few more minutes. After we met a few times at a Bible study, he started taking that phone, putting it down. So he's got one son in the front, one in the back seat, right? He started using that few minutes to just find out about school, find out about PE. What are your kids even doing in PE right now? What specific thing are they doing in PE, right? And so Dennis came back, I use his name, if you're watching, Dennis. He said that something changed in both of his kids he was taking to football practice. At that point, I learned whoever was in the front seat got his undivided attention about what was going on at school. The person in the back seat got to hang out, wait till it was time. When they were leaving for football practice, they would be racing to see who would get in the front seat just to spend time with dad. It's a 6-minute drive to the football field. Man, for them, I get chills thinking about that. For them, he had never thought about that before. He got to add up his 6 minutes times 5 that week. And he had that extra amount of time. And all he had to do was not get on the phone with somebody he could call later anyway. And he realized, this is an important time. This is a time when I can be spending with each one of my 2 sons that I'm taking to football practice. Same thing with dance. Kirsten figured this out. That is when do your kids get the most talkative? And do they ever talk about things that drive you crazy and you have no interest in, like Kirsten was saying with Fortnite? Yeah, it happens to all of us. So, grow up and somehow get interested in what it is, all right? You don't have to love it, but get interested in it. Our son sits there and shoots this crazy basketball, little bitty basketball hoop, you know, the one that's downstairs.
It's like attached to like a door front, like a door. It's
And
like,
you never want it there because anytime somebody comes into your house, it's always hanging right there. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh look, you have toys.
and he
everywhere.
never stops throwing the ball all day long.
And I'm telling you, if you're sensitive to noises, all you hear is that, right? He's missing. He should be hitting swishes every time, but he's not, over and over again. And it'd be easy to be like, make it stop, right? But we realize when he's downstairs where we're at, and he's shooting this thing, he's just talking. He's just talking about whatever happened. And he and his buddies have made it kind of awesome to go help out the kids with special needs in 6th grade. And so he starts talking to us about these kids. He just starts bringing up stuff that we wouldn't get necessarily on the ride home. Now he's just sitting there hanging out in the same room we're in. Instead of up in, we call Fortnite room, up in Fortnite room, or in bedroom, or wherever that is. And so it's finding those things that your kids are interested in and finding a way to bring that into your conversation, your time, whatever you're doing. But a lot of times, the reason I go back to that is because it happens in the car. It is easy to get in, put whatever that music is up there, turn it up a little bit, make the phone call, put whatever on, just because that's what you do. We have limited time. It might be listening to a book, it might be a podcast, it might be whatever, right? But sometimes it's okay just to have those conversations that can only happen in the car. But listen, other times it's okay to just listen to music. Other times it's okay to do, our daughter loves music. Lola Reese loves to listen. And guess what? Sometimes that's the only time we get a chance to hear the music she's into. And I'm telling you, it's weird, right? There's weird music. And there's things I don't understand in the lyrics, right? And I'm like, what? What are we talking? Khaki pants of who? And I don't know what's going on here. But she'll sometimes bring up, oh, this is one we did a dance combo to this. Well, look, now she just brought up something she did in her dance class. Here's music she's doing it to, and I can find out who else was in there doing the combo. Who's that artist? Show it to me. Oh, what else does he have? Ooh, he's got some bad songs with the E. What's the E mean? It's explicit. Oh, well, that's when they have some of the bad words in there. Is there a clean version? I don't know, let me search. Yeah, there is a clean version. Well, put that in your playlist. All of a sudden, we had a whole conversation about listen to the clean version instead of the bad version, and I never had to bring it up in a lecture style. It just came up in a conversation. So I know it's kind of on a rabbit trail, but the things that come up in those conversations, the way you can parent in those conversations, that's sometimes coming from your kids, and it's you just answering back. It's you just talking to them about what's going on in their life, hearing what's going on in their life, and understanding a little bit more about why these video games, this music is so important to them. So, sorry, I probably stole some of your thunder there.
You did a good job.
You're good, yeah, thanks.
I'm cheering you on.
too. Thank you. All right, next piece here. I wrote down something that I learned. She kind of has it ingrained in her. Sometimes moms have this ingrained in you a little bit more. Dads, I feel like, we've got to learn this a little bit more. And I said, the more time you spend with your kids, the more attached you become to them. All right? So I'll say it one more time. The more time you spend with your kids, the more attached you become to them. Case in point, baby comes home, baby makes boom boom in diaper. I'm like, no, I'm the guy. I don't want to do the diaper. That's disgusting, right? You should do the diaper sometimes. Oh, okay, you know. That didn't make me fall in love with doing the diaper, right? But it did let me have some time of just goo goo gaga with my baby when she's not in the room, right? Same thing, fast forward to being elementary school, right? Sometimes when you're done with work, you're flat wore out. I just need to sit for just a sec. Kids, just give me a minute. Give me 10 minutes. There's your 10 minutes, right? Give me just a few minutes. I just need some time to myself. And I learned when I walk in, they all want your attention, right? Wife, daughter, kids, dogs, right?
Dogs.
Exactly. Yeah, iPod and Rooster. They want a lot of attention, especially iPod. He's got a magic heart. Yeah, he's got a heart problem. We have to give him medicine. We call it the magic heart because it sounds worse than.
No, it sounds better than like having a heart. We're talking about our dogs now. Let's talk about our kids.
Good point. That's a whole nother intentional pet owning.
There we go.
Right? Okay, we'll do that next month. So what I learned though is that the more time that I said, yeah, sure, let's walk out. The last thing sometimes I want to do is go out in the front yard and throw the football for a few minutes. I'm tired. I just want to sit down, but dinner's coming or we're getting ready to leave somewhere, whatever it is. But it's like, you know what? I need to do that. And I started learning something. When I got off on my lazy bottom and decided to walk out there, I had a few extra time of just throwing a little bit. And then I learned a little bit about his coaches. Then I learned a little bit about what they were doing in workouts. They do these things, workouts and weights, and they're doing bench press at 6th grade. Their body weight. I didn't really know that. It didn't come up because I would be like, hey, how was workouts? Good. Okay, let's head home and have some dinner. Yeah, you're right. Now we're doing something that he likes. I'm pooped, I'm tired, I know that dinner's coming or whatever it is, but I get maybe homemade fast food, it doesn't matter. The more attached I became to hanging out and seeing him, the more attached I became to something we call guys' night out, G&I, right? Guys' night, G&O. I get my letters very confused, all the vowels, there's so many of them. Guys' night out, we would do stuff. And the things, I'm gonna get in this next part, it doesn't even take money to have some of these experiences that we're talking about. So, you want me to dig into that a little bit more, or do you want to talk about some of time and experiences? That's the next part. It has my name by it, so
it does. It's in blue right there. It's not in pink.
It's a good thing.
No, I think Brent's really good at this. I think I struggle the most. The kids are like, let's go play pickleball, Dad. And he's like, sure. I'm like, I'm sitting this one out. I'm gonna stay home. So I have to work on this one, being intentional and spending time, because our kids still want to spend time with us, and they're 15 and 12, and they still want to spend time with us. So I'm like, maybe she still thinks I'm cool. I don't know, but I'm gonna go with it because she still wants to spend time with us. But no, but Brent's really good as far as, I work at CK Dance Works, and then Lola Reese dances. So there's one night a week that we're both gone. The girls are gone, so the boys. So he would always, every week, plan some crazy adventure with he and Jagger, whether it be playing putt-putt, or one week they went to Walmart, and they decided to build a toilet paper fort in Walmart. So like inside of the toilet paper aisle.
Spot.
And so they would build it, and so they had gone around the whole entire Walmart and like collected home goods for their toilet paper fort.
We needed a clock.
They they had like bean bags, they had picture frames, so this is like the aisle, like in between the two rows of toilet
I didn't know
paper.
you were gonna share this.
And so it just came to me. And so Brent is inside the fort while people are shopping. And Jagger is in the middle of pushing the last beanbag.
It was a doggy pillow on that one. We thought maybe we'd
in case they have a pet. In case they have a pet in their fort. So Jagger's in the middle of pushing the bed into the fort, and the Walmart worker goes, "Young man." I wasn't there. I can just imagine. So they got asked to leave Walmart. So
I was deciding, do I stay in the fort and let Jagger take the whole fort? And I could
So
come
I
out
said,
later.
Brent, it takes a very special group of people to get kicked out of Walmart. So,
I tried to let her know. It's not I don't see it in the rules anywhere. It's funny how your kids can see your true colors. If you're like, all right, do I get mad at the lady or do I outsmart her?
Exactly. Right? She didn't want them to put away the stuff. He was like, she's trying to put away the stuff, and she's like, you just need to leave, sir. I was like, okay.
We did.
So yeah, so I think talking about, you don't have to wait. I think a lot of times us as parents, we want to give our kids these huge experiences. We're huge Disney fans. Let's go to Disney. I would like to go to Disney 3 times a year if we had unlimited money. These huge vacations, but I think when it comes down to it, kids just want to spend time with you. Mm-hmm. They just want to see you look in their eyes and say, that was a great story, buddy. Thank you for sharing that with me. And I think too, it's just talking about change of that mindset of time. Vacations are great. Mm-hmm. They're amazing. We love going on a great vacation. But I think sometimes too, we just have to realize whether it's going to, McDonald's or to a nicer restaurant or on vacation.
I wrote that down. I wrote down, if you're the planner in the family, or you're the one that saves up for the vacation so you don't swipe it on the credit card, whatever that is you guys do. I did have this really neat idea that if we just got a bunch of credit cards and we just swiped them and just lived it up, and then just worry about that later, right?
Dave Ramsey.
Oh, oh, good point. Yeah, we can't do that. But it'd be some really good experiences. Okay, all right. So, but what I wrote down is we tend to wait for the big event moments to spend quality time. All right? We tend to wait for the big event moments to spend the quality time. So are big event moments important? Yes. Do they have to cost a lot? No, they definitely don't. So I kind of wrote in here, Five Guys, going to Five Guys Burgers or Disney World, like Kirsten was saying. Like, those are two completely different experiences. But can you have an experience in each one? Absolutely. You know, the Disney World is the big one, put it on the credit card thing, I understand that. The Five Guys is like, get in there and create an experience. They get those little cups you can put ketchup in. Have you guys been to Five Guys? You know, the like paper cups? I mean, families sitting around, who can build the biggest tower or something like that, right? Sometimes kids remember Moe's is great for that. They get those plastic ones. You can build amazing big towers, right? And they don't even care if you take them with you. It's great. So you can have some really cool experiences that aren't Disney World. And I'm telling you, sometimes our kids will bring things up to us when we were just at McDonald's. That one night when you went and you wanted to make sure there was hot fudge, not just at the top, but at the bottom, and layered all the way
and
through.
the top. Don't just give it to me on the top.
Then the kids wanted to get that, and the lady's like, what? These experiences happen all the time, and they'll go back and remember things that we did that cost 99 cents. And I even had a coupon with the coupon McDonald's app, right? I mean, the things that didn't cost $3,000, they cost $4 plus tax. And so there are these things we do that don't take a lot of time and don't take a lot of effort, but kids just love that time together, sitting there. And you guys all know the power of putting a cell phone down. We get it and all that, right? But man, I'm telling you.
It's called making apple pie in our house. So everyone's phone has to go together. We're all gonna make an apple pie. You can't touch it.
We sit there.
You can't touch it.
And it's funny to see who's going to touch it first.
Our kids are like, wow, I'm getting Snapchats. I have to check them.
And it's totally funny because some nights it's like, wow, can I show you the picture from the thing at the school? Nope. Tell me about it. And then we'll look at it later, but tell me about it. Then they have to be real descriptive and use a lot more words and all that. But all that to say is Disney World still important? Yeah. The other night, our daughter was going off to a Young Life camp for a couple nights. And first of all, they took up their cell phones from them, okay? Now, if you're kind of in the crowd where we are, half our lives, there was no such thing as having a cell phone. The other half, it's what you have. It's your third arm. I don't know. You know, you seem to have it with you all the time. They took up all the kids' cell phones, put them in Ziploc bags with their names, put them away in a little safe for 2 nights. First of all, I thought Kirsten was going to go cray-cray, that she couldn't get in touch with her daughter. And we thought our daughter was going to be like, what's happening here? I don't know what this is like. Our daughter came back and said, when they took up the cell phones, I thought it was going to be the worst thing. And she said, it was the best thing ever. She's now telling us, we left the cabin and you just had your money with you. You weren't worried about what picture to get in, which one to post later. You weren't trying to check something, and I'm telling you, that 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes, that 40 minutes in a day, you'll easily spend that looking at some type of social media thing. Looking, comparing, posting, browsing, getting sidetracked with all the cool ads and all the stuff. Then you go to price check it on Amazon, then you order it, then 2 days later it's at your door. I mean, you're gonna save money just setting the thing down, right? You're gonna save money apple pie in this bad boy. So the reason I went down that trail is she had no idea what it was like to be around without the cell phone, right? I'm not saying punishment at all. I'm saying finding a way to work that into the rhythm of your life, the rhythm of your family, setting some things aside. Because your kids don't know what it's like to not have it. Because we've always had it around, right? So for us, when she came back and said, I hope they do that at Rush. That's our high school camp, and I don't think they're going to do that, but I did share it with our high school pastor and middle school pastor. But what we learned was sometimes the kids don't know what it's like to have that extra time in there, and once they experience it, they're like, when we tell you, Lola Reese, be in the moment, be here, put it down, be in the moment. You get it now. You understand. More time is created when we're in the moment. But here's why I tell you that story. We knew that she was going off to some campsite somewhere, and now it was going to be Kirsten and Jagger and I. And we had not saved up for vacation, from what I'm aware of, right? I don't think we had any money tucked away. But we knew we want to spend some type of time together with just Jagger. So I got on the, what's the bed and breakfast-y kind of thing? This IMDb? No. VRBO? Yeah, IMDb, what is that? Like actors in TV shows or something? Anyway, we got on the VRBO, BIBLE, and we were looking, on these sites everywhere. And we were looking for a place to stay, and we found a place in the mountains. It was $120, right? Tax, title, and license, everything's included. And so we went up to this, it was a cabin, we stayed in this little bungalow. It was crooked, right? I mean, when you're...
The floor was crooked, it was really old.
It was kind of fun. You made good pictures because you were leaning and that was making you stand straight, But there was a dog outside, and the dog followed us around everywhere, and there was random llamas in the pasture nearby. I don't even know. We got up and we watched the sunrise and the sunset, and we were eating snacks and drinking our coffee or whatever Jagger had at the time, Sprite or something like that. And we left, and he's like, that was the coolest thing. And we're like, yeah, I know, but remember that one time when we went to Disney World and we took you up to yeah, that was so awesome. Remember the sun? There was that tree that looked like it should be cut down. And then there's the dogs. There's the people that we thought were hunters that were going to come kill us. And really, they were just hunting, right? There's all these things that make up stories as we're driving back through the mountains that he's bringing up and talking about. And then when Lola Reese is telling us about her Young Life trip, Jagger's sitting there telling everything that we did. Just the three of us at a cabin one night when we were driving up there. 4 hours to get there. What were you thinking to yourself?
I thought it was a very long drive for one night. And I was like, I think we're making a mistake on this one, Brent. I think we maybe should have just stayed home. But sometimes when you stay home, there is stuff to do, and you have a hard time to disconnect, I think.
And what did you say on the ride home?
I said, I don't remember, I said a lot of things.
You did say a lot of things.
No, you're like,
You said it was worth it. You said it was worth it.
It was a highlight. So
I mean,
yeah.
9 hours of driving there and back
So
for us to
far away.
sleep less time than that in this cabin, right? But it was so worth the time to get away. So just know, it doesn't have to be the big expensive experiences. Those are fun to save up for. We've been saving up for a ski trip for a while now. And we're just gonna drive up to this place called Snowshoe that's up in West Virginia. It's so much less expensive than doing other trips here and there, but we're gonna go skiing for just 2 or 3 days.
Hopefully, we'll ski.
Hopefully. Kirsten says she can be the family photographer if she ends up not being good at skiing, but we're gonna have fun. But it's all changing the mindset and realizing experiences are everywhere. It's just keeping your eyes peeled for them. Experience, they're everywhere. It's just keeping your eyes peeled for them. If we only wait for the big moments, we miss out on the daily moments. All right? If we only keep our eyes peeled and waiting for those big moments, we're going to miss out on the daily moments of getting to connect with our kids, of the time that God gives us there. Experiences are everywhere. We just have to look around us. I mean, I remember one time we were together as a family, leaving wherever we ate from, and Lola Reese was telling us about this other dance. And she said, hey, look, let's give it a try. And we danced in the parking lot. We could have been like, oh, people are going to be looking at it. It's the Moxeys.
I probably was not dancing.
It's
Just so you
the
guys know.
Moxeys. That's not true. She did.
I was not dancing.
I walked in the other day, and she's doing Fortnite dances in the living room with Jack.
Again, I have to be cool in front of my son, right?
So when she says she doesn't dance, maybe, but I mean, she's doing cool dances that are from the video game. So I'm just saying that we had miniature little dance party that was there, and sometimes it's walking through, here we go, Publix. I don't want to take my kids in Publix, still wait in the car, but I want to go in with you. I'll go, okay, fine, let's go. We get from one place to the other, right? We know, right? The conversations that come up when you're walking around Publix, realizing, let's see, this is not 5 minutes in and out. I take one child with me, it's going to be at least 12 minutes. I take 2, maybe 15 minutes. If I take my husband with me, 20 minutes. Is that kind of how that works, right? But the things that you talk about in there, about how, hey, we should eat around the edge of the grocery store. Have you heard that before? Eat around the edge, right? That's the healthy stuff instead of all the processed stuff in the middle, right? But the processed stuff is good. I like that stuff, right? Cheerios. Honey Nut Cheerios. Woo-hoo. Right, okay, sorry. Rabbit trail. But my daughter was like, I'm going to try to start eating vegetables and fruit. Do it. I'm going to eat healthier because of that. Okay, let's come pick a fruit. And she chose the star fruit. Have you seen the star fruit in there? It's like $3 or $4 for one. Right? It looks weird, and it's you cut it, and it looks like little stars. It actually tastes really good. But we had a conversation about the star fruit, and you never know when conversations about the stars pop up and about the love God has for us, and He creates this amazing thing. I love walking outside to get the mail or bring the trash in or whatever, and a kid walks out there, and we're seeing the stars, and we're talking about how big God is. So that's on the spiritual side of things. I don't want to dig into that, but time, these little glimpses of things are everywhere. We've got to keep our eyes open for them. So experiences, a big part in the family, okay? You're going to find the time. The next piece is time and serving together, okay? What does this look like, Kirsten? What is some serving things we do together?
Well, Brent serves. Just kidding. He's here on Sundays. Me and the kids, we have kind of gone ebb and flow over the years on serving, not serving. I think Jagger was maybe 3 before I started to serve up here with Brent. You know, if you got small kids, it's hard, you know. But I think there's, I don't know, now we're all in kindergarten together. We all serve in kindergarten. And Jagger's like my pinch hitter. It's like if I have too many kids, he kind of helps out or whatever. But so we do get to serve together. And Westridge has a lot of different opportunities. We've done Blue Skies missions trips together. We've done that for 5 years, serving families that have a child with pediatric cancer. And that you can go with your kids as a missions trip, you know, that's here in America, that's not in Africa, you know, to be able to serve, to be able to serve with them.
It's like vacation mixed with mission trip, right?
Yeah, it's fabulous.
But what did our kids learn from that trip? That they thought they're going to the beach, we thought we're going to serve families with cancer, and what did they learn?
They just learned how to love. Just love people, love kids, love every kid, whether you're sick or not. Just wants a friend. They just want a friend. And so, you know, that's the great thing for that. We've, of course, done Surge together. Last year was Jagger's last year to go as a camper. So this year will be his first year to serve. So we'll all serve together. And our daughter loves it. Like her, and she's probably got 4 or 5 friends that have served for several years together, and they all talk about, okay, where do you want to go next? And which one do you want to do first? You know, and I think one year they helped out in skateboarding, which they don't even know how to skateboard. But it was the cool thing to do, I guess. I don't know. We always serve. We do Christmas Eve service. We always pass out candles. I mean, I think this year, I don't see Matthew's parents in here. Matthew, we have a kindergarten here. He was passing out candles, Christmas Eve service. I love him. So yeah, there's a lot of different things, and I think whenever you serve together, you get out of your whole family, I don't know, things that you have to do as a family. You know, whether it be you're busy, you have to go home, you have to do the dishes and laundry and make lunches, which I hate to do. You know, I think when you get and you serve, you realize, okay, what is the point? And you can use that time to discuss and talk, and why are we doing this? You know, like, bring someone a smile on their face, you know? Like, it might not be, you know, telling someone about the love of Jesus, but you can show them the love of Jesus.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think, going back to your candle passing out, there's all sorts of random opportunities that happen around here, especially if you have elementary age kids or something. It's tough to find a spot on Sunday morning where they're going to be able to serve right away. But that's okay, because you know, obviously we have things planned, and this isn't a guilted into serving thing at all, but it is finding time for us to hand out candles. But we made some fun. We had some fun doing it together. We could see you on the other side of the door, and Jagger and Lola Reese and I were on one side, and you and Jagger on the other, and we were making faces at each other, and we just had fun doing that. Night to Shine just happened this past weekend, where People came down there and they just cheered on any of the people that had special needs families that were coming in. Kids love that. All ages love that. It's just keeping your eyes peeled for opportunities like that to serve together. Hope for Christmas. That's another opportunity when you can bring your kids into the mix to put others first. I think that's one of the things our kids learned going to Blue Skies, a mission trip. There's one, I think it's in July this year, that families are doing, going through Westridge. But they learned to wait until everybody else went ahead of them in line, and then they go. Goat? Yeah, goatee. And then they went. So how many of your kids, when there's a line coming, they're like, they're calling it, shotgun, or they're running up to the front or whatever. It was our first time we saw our elementary age kids actually say, oh, hold on, let these people go first. That doesn't come naturally to kids at all, serving other people. But you know what they saw? They saw mom and dad making that a priority. And what are the things they're going to take away from this? Mom gave her time. She was tired too. She had a lot going on. Dad gave his time. Maybe we should give our own time. And for Night to Shine, we didn't even come. Lola Reese came with friends and they served together. Now, we had another previous engagement that we had to be at, but it showed us that it's getting ingrained in her, in our Bible study friends. And they're learning the importance of serving others. And as they serve on a Sunday morning, as they watch their parents serve, they realize the importance of how that is being the hands and feet of Jesus. And guess what it brings up? Conversations. When Kirsten was serving in elementary, when our kids were in elementary school, right? We found out that there's a whole lot more conversations that can be had in the car on the way home when you know exactly what's going on in this place over here, in kids ministry. We get to talk to them about what they're learning. She got to talk to them about a game that happened. Got to talk to them about a song they're singing, about a memory verse they're learning, about a small group leader. Things that are tough to get in there unless you ask the right questions. And that's our next piece, asking those right questions.
I'm really good at asking questions.
Yes, she is.
Very good. I want all the information. And so I think this probably started when our kids started school. And so Lola Reese would come home, and she's 5 from kindergarten. How was your day? Good. How was lunch? Good. Okay. So if you can figure out those questions that cannot be answered in yes, no, or good, or bad. Like, who did you sit next to at lunch? That's a good question. What did they have for lunch? Did they have something that you wanted for lunch? Like, just those, what did you play in PE? Mm-hmm. We played pickleball. How do you play pickleball? I mean, so it's just, and we even caught ourselves as husband and wife the other day, and we had just talked about this, and he asked me, how's your day? I was like, good. And he just laughed. We do it too. It's just
we do it to each other, to our spouses as well.
But I think too, you have to remember too your audience. If you're asking your 6-year-old, they just got home from school for 6 hours. They're exhausted. If you can't, you got to ask those good questions because they're not going to give it up to you because they're just tired and they're 6 and they're done talking. And they don't want to talk about school because they couldn't talk in school. They just want to talk about something else.
Yeah.
So, if you can find those fun questions, and now my kids totally call me out on it as well. Like Lola Reese will be like, you're asking those questions again, aren't you? And so now she'll just give it up. She'll give me all the information because she knows I'm going to ask. And so I think too, if you know those questions, and I don't know, it's like a game. I try to think of random questions to ask to throw them off, and I have to really think about it.
You do that in the car too. You'll ask things that get everybody talking, and it's like everyone's chomping at the bit to try to say something. And it's so cool to see a high schooler and a middle schooler and a mom and dad driving, and everyone can't wait till they get to talk about whatever the next thing is or whatever the movie is. They're just neat, interesting questions. I don't know where you come up with those things.
I don't know. I love to find out all the information about everything.
And then she starts doing it with our kids' friends. All right? So while they're in the car. And so the funny thing is, she has found that carpooling, going to church, taking people to school or whatever, now, depending on the environment, you probably know this. If I'm at church, Pastor Brent, if she's up there at CK Dance Works, she is Miss Kirsten, right? If I ever go up there to CK Dance Works, I'm now Kirsten's husband, right? And a lot of times here at church, she's Brent's wife or whatever that is. But the cool thing is, the more we asked questions, I really enjoy, and you do too, bringing our kids up here for Reckless and Revolution and things like that. That's been a priority. I love having them in the car. I get to hear all sorts of things. But what's cool is over time, you shift from being Jagger's dad and Jagger's mom to Mr. Brent and Miss Kirsten. Somehow they start having this little relationship with you. Now, I'm going to tell a story that happened at a sleepover, and I think your daughter was there. So, a couple of years ago or so, our daughter had a sleepover, had some friends over, and we're all hanging out, and Kirsten is over there by her computer doing a couple things. And then I watched all these girls go mesh around Kirsten. And I took a picture. I should have found that picture. That would have been good. I took a picture of all these girls circled around Miss Kirsten. Miss Kirsten. And Lola Reese is like, hey guys, you ready to head upstairs? Anybody ready? And they're all over there talking to Miss Kirsten. That is the point when we realized they're really enjoying hanging out and chatting with Miss Kirsten, and she's developing relationships with them. Lola Reese realized later how cool that was, that it wasn't like, oh, let's go run away from your mom. And it was like, your mom is cool. We want to ask her because she talks to us about stuff. And so you are cool. You are cool. But what we realized is all those times when we were the carpool parents, when we made it a priority to pick them up from dance and to show up here at Westridge Church, taking them to the middle school program and to the high school program, or if it was time, pile in the car, let's head to dance, or to football, or to school, whatever it was, something was happening. We were making those little connections, not just with our kids, but with their friends now. And there were some friends that would confide in us things that they wouldn't anywhere else because they felt comfortable around us. It's spending the time with our kids and with our kids' friends when we find that God gives us those conversations that those kids are sometimes scared to ask to their own mom and dad, or they're scared to ask to their own friends, but they don't mind asking to you because you were there every step of the way. So, time, and I wrote some extra. What are some extra things we've taken away from this? Before we give you our 3 practical things. Can I drink that? Is that your water?
It's mine, but I'll share.
Oh, thank you for sharing. That's so nice of you. I think today there's a lot of baptisms today, and then there's a lot of speaking today. My voice is so tired. So tired. All right, so we only have 3.5 more years with Lola Reese at home. Before. So anybody that has a 9th grader, right now, you've only got 3.5 more years with your kid before they possibly, I know, before they go off to college, before they become an adult, whatever that technically means. And you know what we learn now? We want to invest more in the experiences and the memories than in the material things. We want to spend more in those times together than we do in the stuff they put on and the things they wear, right? Does that mean sometimes we got to stop buying them stuff? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We don't even have allowances in our house, okay? We just, our kids know that sometimes they get things and sometimes we say no to things, and it's okay. But we learn that as we get older, we have limited time with our kids left. In those 3.5 years, I want them to leave the house knowing that mom and dad gave us the best of their time. If it's 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. They gave us the best of their vacations. They gave us the best of their experiences. We know that that time is something you can never manufacture more of. You can never get it back. In those 3.5 years, I want to look back and say, wow, we did as much as, no regrets. That's probably Kirsten and I's life verse when we got married. It's not even a verse, a life phrase when we got married. We want to have no regrets. Hence why we lived at the beach, why we lived in New York City, why we lived in Hiram, Georgia. Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but we wanted to have no regrets along the way. And you know, in that next 3.5 years, we're not just telling you things that we're not going to go live out. We're going to go live that time out.
In 3.5 years, you wait. The Moxies are going to have as many experiences wherever that's at as we possibly can. And Jagger, we've got 4, 5, 6 and a half.
We have a lot more time.
Whew, we got a little bit more time. If you have elementary kids, though, time is ticking away. It is ticking away. What are you going to do? Where are you going to find that time to connect with them? Where are you going to find a time to be their buddies, dads? To be their life coaches? Is it when you're flat ironing their hair in the mornings? I watch it happen 3 mornings out of the week with this one and our daughter, Lola Reese. Just chatting about whatever. Just bringing up about whatever. Is it Jagger when he's lightning bolt getting ready and he's downstairs shooting hoops? I could easily be up around all over the place going out of the house. You know what? I'm going to spend a few minutes just chatting with him. Where are you going to find that time? We wanted to kind of close out our time here with just 3 practical tips you guys could take home with you. 3 tips that you guys could use and put into action right away. So practical tips to take home, all right? First one. Should I share the first one? You want to share the first one?
I think you're doing a really good job.
I think we're doing a good job together. Yeah, that's what I think. All right, so practical number 1, time in the car. Time in the car. 3 minutes somewhere, 10 minutes somewhere to ball practice, 15 minutes to church, 20 minutes to grandma's house. I don't care who you are. You seem to have time in the car. We all do. How can you use that? That is free time. That's free time with your kids. Where do you go? School? Church? You drive to dinner? You drive to the in-laws' house? What can you talk about? What can you talk about on that trip? What can you change so you get to be the driver sometimes? What can you change to when sometimes you get to do the ride along? Sometimes I've got a meeting that's happening later in the day, and I get to see that she's driving the kids to school, and sometimes I go jump in the passenger seat and I ride along. I call it the ride along, right? On Fridays, that is our time, it's our date day. We try to protect that day when we get along and we have dates together. By the way, time with your spouse is valuable. For your kids to see it, very, very valuable. We're going to talk about that in one of our later sessions about family. But know this, time is there. It's just jumping in the car. It's just saying, I'll take them. Boy, do we have so much more to do than drive our kids somewhere. Carpooling is so great. Okay, Monday's mine, but I get the rest of the day, the week to not have to carpool, right? Somebody can't show up for carpool, I'll do it. I'll do it again. I'll be the one. Because I know that's the time. That's the few minutes here and there. Time in the car is valuable. So make the most of the time you have.
And the second thing I think I talked about a little bit was...
Second tip.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Used the wrong word. Find those open-ended questions. Think about what your kid goes throughout the day, like what they do, I know teachers send home probably emails every week about what your child is learning about in school, and homework sheets come and go, and yellow folders come home, or whatever. So like try to be a little bit more engaged and find those questions that will get them talking. Don't talk about school if you don't want to. Talk about what they play in the afternoon. Talk about, ask them questions. I don't even know. I can't think of any of my really good questions that stumped them.
I wrote down one that you just said this past week. Instead of, how was school? Good. Remember that? You wrote, you said, what did you play in PE? You remember that? You said, what did you play in PE? And then it came out that they were...
And they're playing pickleball. Pickleball is a new thing. I've never even heard of pickleball. And so like all these middle school kids, and Jagger was like undefeated, and he had this huge story, and his kid cheated, and blah, 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 and like it was this 30-minute story and all this kind of stuff. And so I was like, all right, I know how to play pickleball now. And so like just finding those questions to get them engaged, and because they want to talk with you. They want to share their day with you. Whether they're 4 or they're 14. they want to share with you. They want to see you look in their eyes, bend down on their level, put your phone down. Clothes can wait to be folded. I am number one. I like to have a clean house, and so I have to work on that. But they want to see your eyes, they want to see, and they care, and they want to share with you on their day. And I think that's...
Yeah, that's crucial. I think questions that can't be answered with a good yes, okay, right? Like Kirsten said, open-ended questions.
Do it, and they'll answer you with yes or no. And you'll laugh because you're like, yeah,
Now
I
you're
totally
in the
called
know.
you out on this one.
You're not ignorant anymore. The next time you say, did you have a good day? And they say, yeah. All right, you're the one that asked the question, right? These are 8-year-olds.
Was it cold in class? Was it cold or was it hot? Like, think about all these kind of fun questions. Was it cold in the lunchroom? Was it loud in the lunchroom?
What did you talk about at lunch?
What's the lunch
Sometimes
lady's
that's
name?
fun.
Like,
Yeah.
like things like that, yeah.
Yeah, we found that it's so easy, but each of your kids can handle questions at their age where they're at. So find out what they're doing, what they're interested in, and engage in just that. I watch it every Sunday. When you guys are picking up kids, and your question, this is your number one question. Hey, did you have fun today? And what do they always tell you? Yes. All right. How about that?
Hopefully that's their answer.
Hopefully it's yes. Hopefully it's not. It was the worst thing ever. Right. These kids will never know what Sunday school was like when we were kids, and it was boring. You didn't want to go to church. I can't use that in here anymore. I can't say, you know, back when church was boring. They don't know what it's like, right? They need Disney World on steroids for Jesus, right? That's really what gets them excited in here. And so when they leave, maybe it's, what game did you play? Did you read a verse? We're trying to make it easier. There's these cards, handout cards that have the SOAP method on there, right? Scripture, observation, application, and prayer. We did that for you guys, right? So you can engage your kids in conversation. What did you observe today in the scripture? What, Mama, you know about that? What? Hand them the cheat sheet. Maybe they look at it a little bit, Talk about some things that may have happened in there. You guys have, there's these amazing small group leaders in here that lead your kids in small groups. Talk about their small group leader. Hey, what did your small group leader say today? What's their name? How old are they? Do you know all the information about their small group leader? Ask them. They'll tell you. They'll fill you in on everything that's going on in that small group time because it's fun. It's funny. It's fun to watch while they're in there. And so we even have a hard time remembering this with our spouses, is what we kind of brought up. This could easily speak over into your own lives with husband and wife, right? We'll talk about this at another time, but making sure you're asking good, open-ended questions. As guys, we have limited amounts of words to say, right?
No, Brent has a huge word quota that he has to meet every day. Sometimes he meets it by like 8 o'clock in the morning. He wakes up talking. Literally wakes up talking. He brushes his teeth talking.
There's a rule in our house. If we're brushing teeth, if we're in the bathroom, I'm not allowed to start talking and asking questions yet. I got to wait till we're downstairs and you have had your workout.
My coffee.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Tip number 3, okay? Tip number 3, take advantage of meal times, okay? Meal times. Why do I say that? Because not everybody has dinner around the dinner table every night, let alone once in a week period, right? But we do know that everybody has to eat, okay? So how can you use a time when you're eating with your family? I'm going to tell you something that happened with our family that was an accident and turned out to be awesome, okay? Our family learned that we love Mexican food. And when my kids and my wife says they want Mexican food for dinner, what they mean is they want cheese dip from the local joint up here, okay? And they could care less if there's any
Maybe a
type of...
crunchy taco.
And maybe a crunchy taco, maybe. Okay. But basically, Mexican food is cheese dip, okay? I'm just throwing this out there. And so, it's been going on for years now. Every Wednesday, I bring Mexican food home, and we set up TV trays in the family room, and we turn whatever show is that we're watching together. We always have some type of show. It might be, right now is The Masked Singer, and we just finished America's Got Talent, right? We've done Survivor together. That was a little more risque. Be careful with that one. But we know that we get a chance to watch these shows together. And you know what? We're unapologetic about it. We know that there's not going to be any deep theological questions. We've got TV trays out. And so if you ever see some type of picture my kids are putting up there, there's TV trays out and we're doing stuff and we're dipping and we're eating and all that. And we're talking about it. And sometimes we started watching The Incredibles 2. It's on Netflix now if you haven't watched it. Started watching it. We laugh at each other because we'll only get 2 minutes into it and we've got to pause because something comes up in a conversation we've all got to have with each other. And then we hit play again. And then we pause it again. And Kirsten just said, how long are we into it now? 8 minutes. All right, there we go. We've already paused it 3 times. We're only 8 minutes into the movie. But you know what? That's our special family time. We get a chance to chat, have some time together that is something that we're interested in together. Eating something that we enjoy. Watching these funny little TV trays come out of nowhere because they're in the closet. And so now we get a chance to do that together. But what are you doing? Is there a time when you're eating in the car? Look, now you're mixing food together with drive time, right? Is there a time when you're gathered around the dinner table? Man, take advantage of your apple pie time, right? Or inferior Android device time. That just doesn't flow quite as well. Yeah, right? There is always time when we are eating food. Find that time and put guardrails around it, okay? Put guardrails around that time, whatever. It might be something you're already doing now, and you're just now enlightened to it. Oh, that's right, we do this, we do that. Now, you're not ignorant towards it anymore. You can be intentional with it. Maybe it's going out to a meal once a week. Maybe it's cooking in the house once a week. Believe me, we're with you. Long gone are the days of, hey, how's things going, Ed? Oh, so busy, we're doing this. We know, everybody's busy. Everyone has no time, no extra margin in there. So with the time that you do have, take advantage of that. Bring it up. Dare your kids to eat something at that meal they've never had before. Stick 3 jalapenos in your mouth, 8-year-old. Let's laugh. Hold on. Let me get my phone out and record it, right?
That's never happened at our house.
All right, so there's lots of crazy things that come out. And guess what? It's not because we're just fun-loving parents like that, which we are. We love our kids. But we try to find something that they'll tell their friends about. Something that they'll remember a week later. And you know what? One day, I don't know if our kids will ever watch this or not. We didn't talk through everything we're going to do. One day, I hope they're talking with their family and they remember Mexican food night with the TV trays out. It doesn't have to look all Instagram worthy, okay? We've stopped posting as many things as we used to post because it just doesn't matter. Our kids matter to us, and our time we spend together with our kids matter. And we all eat, and we all drive in the car, and we all talk to our kids sometimes. Let's take advantage of those 3 opportunities that God gives us. I was asked a while back, I wrote this question down. What is more important? Is it quality time, Pastor Brent, or is it quantity time? Is quality time the most important, or is quality, wait, I already said quality. Is quality time most important, or is quantity time the most important? And the answer is yes. They both are. It's just when you have that time to invest in them. Both have very important roles in your day, in your week, in your year. Both use time, and both use what the New International Version said, an opportunity that we have there, that we get to spend with our kids. And go, you want to talk about that last piece? Because I think that's important. I think moms feel bad about that. Right there, yeah.
Well, I think you kind of already touched on it. Don't feel guilty about being busy. We're all busy. Everyone's going 90 miles a minute. I know sometimes you do have to kind of, bring it back and take a night off or whatever. I know both of our kids do one event, one activity, and we're busy. And so don't feel guilty being busy. Find that time, car, meal. I'm not the best cook. I don't like to cook very much. And so we might get takeout quite a bit. And so it doesn't have to be a home cook 4-course dinner for your kids. They don't care. I mean, they do, but they don't. Does that make sense? Like, they would probably like Arby's just as much as my noodles or whatever.
Curly fries, those are
See,
good, aren't they?
he's really easy to please. So yeah, so I think as we go through
The
our
steak
day,
of the common man.
I just made that up.
word quota, he just keeps
Delicious.
them coming.
We got a whole ride home together, baby. So I'm going to close out with this verse, and we're gonna shut her down so your kids don't go crazy downstairs if they're downstairs right now. But it has to do with this right here. We notice that it's not just the boxes of those 5 things that you make sure you take care of time. Make sure family is a piece of that. Make sure you use the words that we're going to talk about at some point coming up. But these all mesh together. It's all a big piece of being an intentional parent. Because listen, we've all got the time. We just have to find it. We just have to see it. Let me read this verse to you, and then we'll get ready and close up in prayer, and then we'll dismiss. Because you've already heard it. But think about what God's trying to tell us here. As he uses the Apostle Paul, be very careful then with how you live. Make the most of every opportunity. Make the most of the time you have with your kids. It's precious. Can't ever get any more than one day they're going to head off and you're going to wish. You're going to wish. You're going to hope. You're going to pray. You're going to do whatever you can, right? I want you guys to, if you don't mind, I'm going to close this up in prayer. So we're going to pray together and just dedicate this next 2 minutes, just us talking to God. So let's pray. God, thank you for the parents that are here tonight. God, thank you for the kids they represent. Thank you that they're here wanting to be intentional parents. God, you give us opportunities every day. We get that. Help us see them. Help us seize the day. Seize the 10 minutes. Seize the 40 minutes a day. Seize the 3 minutes that you get us. God, I pray right now that you will now enlighten us to the time we have available to us every day, God. Thank you that there is powerful parents here that can offer up powerful prayers to you, God. We can't do this on our own. We can't do this mom and dad thing on our own. It's just too difficult, God. But when you're by our side, holding up our arms when they get tired, when we're weak, when we can't even stand, God, you'll come right by our side and say, I got you. I got you. Father, help us put you first and you on display. God, help us remember the power of prayer. If we knew how much prayer matters in this world, I think we'd do a whole lot more for it. Do a whole lot more of it. So God, help us to be praying for our kids. To pray for opportunities with our kids. And to pray for the time we have with them before one day they're gone. God, we love you. Thank you for these amazing moms and dads that care about bringing you into every aspect of their lives. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.